Hey everyone, wanted to hop on before the official holiday weekend ends and just check in. When I have an abundance of time, I do as many of podcast episodes as I can, which that is why there's been so much recording back to back to back. Anyway, so I am on like a crusade. Everyone knows this is Yael Meisels, the Kosher Intuitive, clairvoyant, energy healer, life coach, investment realtor. Okay, I thought I was going to be in contending with yard work. Anyway, so I guess I want to offer a scenario, if you will. Let's talk about the topic for a few minutes, because this particular topic is not going to be as long as my normal podcast is. But a couple of minutes I want to touch on erev and Amalek, right? Now, the Vilna Gaon, I posted tonight a chart that was, kind of like simplifies this from by the Vilna Gaon. I would highly suggest, if you take interest in this topic, to learn what the Vilna Gaon has to say about it. But let's talk about erev. Let's talk about Amalek, because the Vilna Gaon explains that Amalek is like under the umbrella of erev. All right. Let's say you were on vacation, right? And you come home and all of your tires were slashed, okay? And I, being your neighbor, come outside. Let's say it's Jeff and Carol Kleinman. Anyway, so let's say Jeff and Carol Kleinman are on vacation. I live next door. All four of their tires are completely slashed, like deliberately slashed, right? And I go over to Jeff and Carol Kleinman and I say, you know what, Jeff and Carol? It was that Amalek erev who slashed your tires. Now, they would look to me and say, Yael, did you file a police report? You didn't tell us, right? Tell you. Now, when it would come to Jeff and Carol's, this fake family, right? When it would come to Jeff and Carol's car, correct? And I'm witnessing somebody in this, fictional scenario for the sake of explaining how we're handling erev, how we're handling Amalek, right? I'm using this example to explain to you how we are currently handling erev and Amalek. So Jeff and Carol are on vacation, and I witness their car getting vandalized, 4 slashed tires. And then I report back to Jeff and Carol when they come home from vacation in passing. Oh yeah, by the way, I saw Amalek erev slashing your tires. And then they would probably say to me, well, Yael, did you call the police? Well, no, it's erev and Amalek. That's God's job to get them. Oh. Now, if it was a car slash, a tire slashing, you'd go ballistic. What do you mean it's Amalek? Couldn't call us, couldn't call the police. That's effing bad meatos right there. But the way we are currently handling the topic of erev, the topic of Amalek, the way we are currently handling these topics is identical to witnessing your neighbor's car get all 4 tires slashed and do nothing. We are, ladies and gentlemen, like when it comes to the Detroit Basin, the piñata, I'm just going to hit over and over again. So we're not done hitting that piñata. So the Detroit Basin, all of us in the street, the collective we, right? Look at these rabbis and let's just be honest, because we can't invoke change and we can't be helpful to these bozos. We can't be helpful if they don't know the truth. Okay. When it comes to the Detroit Basin, we are seeing Shredder's Foot Clan in rabbinical garb from the Fakakta Ninja Turtles. Okay. We're literally witnessing a rabbinical Foot Clan when it comes to the Detroit VOD. We are. These people act like they have no shame. They have no, what's it called? No care, concern, nor consideration for how the way they handle something. Should you need the VOD, they don't care how you feel about it. They've mismanaged many divorces. I'd be interested to know how many men and women have been screwed over in divorce, because every divorce case that I know, everybody I know who got divorced in the Detroit area, the Detroit Jewish community, and had to use this basin, none of these people have a polite thing to say. None of them. It's frightening. And the way we are handling, exactly, Sarah, there's no checks and balances, right? It's a free-for-all, it's a shit show, it's an absolute circus. Everybody go chimpanzees, no rules. Exactly. Until now, there has been no one willing to stand up and hold these rabbis accountable for the way they behave. Sarah, you've said it perfectly. No checks, no balance. There's no balance to the relationship that the community has with the VOD. There's no balance in that. And what has happened in New York, in Israel, in Detroit, what has happened in pretty much anywhere where you will find a Jewish community full of religious Jewish people, is you'll have people say, oh, that behavior, that's their erev rav. Now, erev rav on the Vilna Gaon's chart, number 5, is categorized as Amalek. What did Hashem, let's be honest, did Hashem, now we've got a few people watching this show right now. Let me put my glasses on so I can see. All right. Now, did God tell Shaul to pray for Amalek? Certainly didn't. Did God tell Shaul to call the police on Amalek? Shaul was kind of the police. God told Shaul to kill Amalek. Now listen, I'm not even suggesting anyone take up arms and run after the nearest rotten rabbi, because it'd be a bloodbath and it's just not worth the prison, okay? It's just not. I can appreciate the feeling, but it's not worth the prison. The real way to get the Amalek out of our systems, to get the erev rav out of our Judaism for once and for all, is confronting the rabbinical community wherever there is error, time and time and time again, making sure the punishment fits the crime. Okay? Like, what started this whole campaign, which is really like the flood, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, listen, people who've known me for the better part of a decade and longer, they could have told you this was coming. Okay? The people in my life probably knew I was going to do this before I knew I was going to do this. Okay? But We've got a real issue here that we need to figure out, because we have halachot, we have laws written into halacha, okay? Laws written into halacha that are egregious, that make no sense. And it's almost like, who would have thought of this? Like the whole bullshit. I hate to go back here, and it's not the only halacha I know. It's just I need to highlight it because it's just so stupid. There are three different ways to put a cup of tea together on the Fakakta Sabbath. Why? Figure it the fuck out. What's there this week's Parsha for sins even between each other and Jew to Jew? Listen, this is not only the sins between Jew to Jew, because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, whether this is hard to hear or not, the rabbis who fail us, that is a Jew to Jew sin. That is a person to person sin. So when the community leader sins against me, he sins against all of us. You understand? Because he's the leader. We're supposed to follow the leader. But the problem is, here in Detroit, we've got most of these leaders are trying to lead us into hell. And we can't allow it anymore. And we see that by the militant way they conduct their shuls. Like what started this was, there's a man in our community, Zaka has already covered the story, who tried to rape a woman. Now, this is someone who has made dozens upon dozens of women in the community uncomfortable. Used to work at the Judaica store. There are times that I would have been in that Judaica store, that I was in there with my kids buying yarmulkes or tutzis or whatever the hell, right? This bozo finds every reason in the world to talk to me. And we're in a Judaica store, mind you, where they sell Torahs and Humashim and Sidurim and all these things, right? So he's trying to make a conversation on the cusp of sexual. And I'm there shopping with my family. And I'm a woman the man hasn't tried to sexually assault. That's just what happened when I went to the bookstore where he worked. Now, this is one story of many. And that's what started this, is this criminal who tried to rape this poor woman. She was in the Detroit Jewish conversion program, and he basically entrusted himself in her situation, saying he was a liaison to the Vod. He has not been thrown out of any synagogues. The Vod of Detroit has created all sorts of Halul Hashem all over the place, standing up for this man, when there's pages and pages and pages of testimony of women coming forward who were not sexually assaulted, but oh, goodness, could this man give you the willies? And where there's smoke, there's fire. And listen, there is pending charges. The police are definitely involved. And to make matters worse, the prosecuting attorney actually wants to take the Detroit Basin. One of them in particular wants the victim to file witness tampering charges against him. So right now, we have rabbis sitting on a basin in the greater Detroit area that prosecutors want to file witness tampering charges against, but can't, because it's got to be the victim's decision. Ladies and gentlemen, why are we allowing this? Just like if I saw somebody slashing your tires while you were on vacation. Sarah, you and I have known each other at least, at least 15, 16 years. Could you imagine if we were neighbors and God forbid, your car's tires get slashed, and I say, oh yeah, Sarah, Arthur, Amalek came and slashed your tires. And you'd be like, well, Yael, did you call the cops? Well, no. We know it's Amalek. They slashed your tires. Next topic. This is how we're handling Amalek right now. This is how we're handling erev right now. Right now. This is how we're handling it. Well, it's just so bad. Ezekiel, isn't it bad? Oh, it's bad. Miriam, is it terrible? Oh, it's just god-awful. How do you feel, Shoshana? Oh, it's shit. Yoel, we should get rid of it. Anytime now, God is going to show up and get rid of it. But we could all agree, right, when Mashiach gets here to fight the war for us, we can all agree that we didn't like Amalek. We didn't try to stop Amalek. We didn't try to throw Amalek until now out of power. We didn't try to take back our hijacked Torah. We're waiting for Mashiach to come do that. So, there seems to be real problems here in our whole attitude towards the Amalek. Because something I've done the entirety of my adult life, and since I'm 9 years old, as I've studied the paranormal, I talk about, for those of you who watch this show and watch it regularly, I talk about, to some degree, being a paranormal person, a person who has abilities of phenomena, deals with high level of clairvoyant abilities. I can perform remote viewing. There are abilities that I think I possess that I'm trying to work on. One of the reasons I called my little club the Jewish Illuminati is because my father's last name is Lumetta, which is Italian for lamplighter. And, oh, Aaron Blade, thank you, honey. You're late to the party, boo. You're about 15 years late to the party, but thank you for supporting me in my long endeavored podcast, but you're adorable, love. Thank you for the support. Yes, I've considered a YouTube channel 15 years ago. Anyway, he's so adorable. Sending you love tonight from Detroit. But I'm just saying, that's like saying we aren't handling the Amalek problem. And as a paranormal investigator, my desire is to get to the truth. Now, being a person who's had a number of paranormal experiences in my life, I will tell you that without a question, the God of Abraham is the only God there is. No kidding. All right? This is the Old Testament God. This is not the Christian Bible God. Oh, Lord, I cannot make that clearer to you. Now, before you embark on any paranormal investigation, what I'm investigating right now is the occultism surrounded in sexual abuse that we see coming out of the Haimisha communities. Because so many of these sexual abuse stories are similar to the stories that I hear. They're similar to the stories that I hear from people who have survived satanic, ritualistic sexual abuse. For those of you who don't know, Macomb County, Michigan, more specifically, Mount Clemens, Michigan, is one of the largest satanic communities in the entire world. These are people who might even attend church on Sunday. Jewish people typically do not live in Mount Clemens. But Baal Amak Shemo, Malak Amak Shemo, and Satanic Amak Shemo worship is higher than you would imagine. And in the satanic ritualistic cults, when they sexually assault someone between certain ages, there's an energetic, magical reason they do this shit. And there are reasons that I will discuss another day on another topic of why these hellacious the hellacious blood magic at one point worked. I don't believe it works to the extent that it used to, but I can get into another day as to why that is. But when I put my objective lens onto Satmar, Bells, Ger, Vishnitz, you name it, anything other than Chabad and Breslov, okay? And I'm objectively pulling these two out because these two at least live in the world. The others do not. And there is something that just feels like satanic Frankism. Now, for those of you who doesn't know what a Frankist is, our friend Candace Owens has been telling us about Frankism for a long time. Only the difference between me and Candace is I don't think every Jew in the entire world is a what's it called? Is a Frankist. Candace Owens does. And she is saying some damning things and not explaining who these people are. And I think there's a lot more Frankism in the entrenched Hasidic sects than we maybe have originally realized. Because we have to admit, it's 2025, ladies and gentlemen. We have been alive, and ain't none of y'all bitches so religious that you don't know what goes on in the Williamsburg community, okay? Come on, y'all got Facebook. Let's not pretend. We know. We, the greater we, right? We know that sexual abuse is running rampant right now in the Heimish communities and always has. I mean, when I tell you, I sadly don't think I have ever known personally, I'm talking about the people I know, I'm not saying in terms of what exists, okay? But out of the people that I know from these Heimish communities, every last one of them that I know has been the victim of some sort of Heimish sexual misconduct, which shows me there is something wicked and something evil going on. Because while we know evil can exist anywhere, you go over to Woodmere and you just don't have an abundance of victims. I'm sorry, you don't. I can track and read and gauge energy. I'm a freak of nature. I'm not saying it doesn't exist there. It does. But I'm saying, thank you so much. Sarah says it's been hard to look in the dark, but it's coming through now. Thank you. Feeling more ready. You should feel ready, and you should feel proud of yourself. You should feel strong because the collective we are standing up to essentially a few thousand years of Torah abuse. We're basically taking the integrity of our Torah back and saying, no, you don't get to dirty our Talmud by putting halachot in there on the parameters to rape somebody. I got news for you. You rape anybody, male, female, child, or adult, God forbid, you're going to the worst part of Gehenna before your soul gets stomped out to not exist anymore. Next topic. So what in hell is that doing in the Talmud? I'll tell you why it's in the Talmud. Erev Rav put it there. And we have to stop. We have to put our common sense glasses back on. We can't allow these rabbis who are too frum to go to the bathroom and then climb in bed with their kids, but get shame the fuck on you if you have a TV, Facebook, and go to the movies and live like a person. Why are we giving these people the power? Why do we have parameters to rape somebody in the Talmud? You know, there's a very brave gentleman who takes a lot of shit. And my heart goes out to you, Israel Horowitz, okay? he basically, I don't know a lot of, I've watched some of his work. I've been watching a little bit more of it recently. He basically looks at if Israel, you're welcome to have the floor and to come explain your position if I've misunderstood you in any capacity, sir. But from what I understand, he looks at all of Chazal as charlatans. Now, I don't look at all of Chazal as charlatans. Not at all, in fact. I think there's probably a good number of Chazal that is not charlatans. But when we have writings in our religious books that were so clearly written by a charlatan, common sense and fear of God and protection of our fellow Jew, b'koach nefesh, do anything to save the life of yourself and your fellow Yid, right? We have to throw these people out. We can't allow people to come into the like if someone wants to deny their wife a get, do you know there are loopholes in these halachot to get women out of marriages? And recently, one of my clients has been keeping me abreast of this situation, this absolute Halul Hashem demonization of innocent human beings. They elected some rabbi that's allegedly big enough, which is such horse shit, to overturn a divorce. Okay. So he did it. He freed one woman. He got such backlash by the Apikorsim, erev Amalek Jews. He reinstated her marriage. If that man only knows, he is a walking corpse. The rabbi who did that, you are a dead man walking. Not because I'm gonna kill you, 'cause you're gonna see the wrath of God. I give you my word, you sick motherfucker. You're gonna see the wrath of God for what you did. Any single rabbi. Are we talking about an Orthodox community? We are talking about the Orthodox community as a whole, Aaron. We're talking about it as a whole. I'm sorry, Mr. Oliver, that is incorrect. I'm not trying to start a debate with you, but there are definitely parameters to rape someone in the Talmud. So please, we're not going to start this evening, sir. If this page is not for you, that's okay. But we're not going to start this. There really is. Again, I can't, this is silly. So really okay, we're not doing this, sir. This isn't the place for that. Moving back on. There absolutely is. And even if there wasn't parameters put there, first of all, there are, second of all, there shouldn't be. And third of all, it's being done. And I'm sorry, Mr. Oliver, but I'm going to fall back on my 30 plus years of education on this topic and feel better about what I know than have to learn about you to figure out what you know. That's just not how we roll up in here. I have to fix problems. It's right here, Mr. Blade, left orthodoxy. I can only imagine why. We've talked about in other videos what poor people of color converting to Judaism. I brought it up because it's my show, sir. Anyway, last time we're addressing that. It's my show. We brought it up because it's my show. And I invite you to Google what I said. And you are welcome to go argue with someone who identifies the same brand as Judaism as you. That's fine. Anyway. So, this is what I'm saying. There's so much hat, there's so much beard, there's so little knowing the crux of what it is, right? And there's so many rabbinical opinions. Like this poor man thinks this is how you learn Torah because of the whole Havrusa process where they do this with each other. Boom, 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 boom. They battle it out. That's not what I'm about. I'm done with the battles. I've watched you people battle yourselves almost into another Holocaust. I've watched you people battle yourselves into the creation of October 7th. So let's just not go there, at least not with me. Okay? I did too much good the last week to be abused. So the bottom line here, we have too many people interpreting halacha. We have no new halachot, which doesn't make any sense because the world has evolved. Crimes that were not a crime 1,000 years ago, like cyber fraud, Bitcoin. Why don't we have halachot in how to address that? It goes on. Israel's some of the biggest producers of cyber fraud in the entire world. The reality is like this. Whether we have too much Jew-on-Jew hatred, too much Jew-on-Jew crime, we've got a whole world out there ready to annihilate us again. We never cannot. The bottom line here is it's so clear something is being done wrong because we keep finding ourselves almost in another Holocaust. I'm sorry. I don't want Mandani in my community. I'm sorry. I don't want October 7th. I'm sorry. 2 years ago, there was already 3 days before school started, the parents for the student body, we got a letter that the FBI and the Jewish Federation and all the feds and whatnot intervened a targeted attack on our school for the first day of school. I don't know how serious the threat was. It was serious enough to tell us about it. Good Lord. And you've got time to argue with me about the Talmud? That's depressing. But this is the way you people are taught Judaism. For those of us who are converts, we don't come in with this background of the narrative that you did. We're looking at this through a clean lens. I'm sorry, but we don't have Bubbies and Zadis and family names to uphold. We have God and that's it. And when our Torah has been hijacked, we got to do something about it. We got to get the snakes out of the pool. We have people sitting down while our boys are at war in Israel. We've got people sitting on their tush manush thinking that learning the Talmud and learning the Torah is going to save them. I guarantee you, any yeshiva that is full of people, if Hashem throws a missile at you, watch it happen. Do not come crying to anybody because your children would not get off their ass and go defend the land that they take advantage of. That's just how I feel about that. I hope if you're struggling with whether or not your child should defend the land, I hope the Rabbanu Shalom brings something personal to your doorstep that shows you why your shit kid should. All right? Because if the IDF children can go put themselves on the line, so can these Bukrin who's taken advantage of our God for far too long. While you guys are busy defending the integrity of dead rabbis, I am going to defend the integrity of our God. I want to see our Beis Hamikdash standing. I am in no way, shape, or form interested anymore in more stories of children being victimized. I mean, we have to start addressing this as if it's a public threat, as if it's an epidemic, a pandemic. Because listen, as we just saw, we're recording this show, someone hears something they don't like. It's the way they've been taught Judaism, where they're like, but that's not what Rabbi Babala said. Grrr. I don't give a shit what your erev Rabbanim said. What I'd like to do is go through, it's interesting. I see men sitting here, 8,000 years old, okay? 8,000 years old, believing they're Kohanim based on nothing more serious than the hope of their granddad. I, on the other hand, a Kohen has a special energy to them. You know how many people I've looked at that have sworn up and down because their granddad and his granddad, and so did his deity, and therefore, and such, okay, think they're Kohanim. And these people are sitting single, 7 million years old, hoping to God to find a uterus young enough to have a baby because they're living in a fallacy that they're a Kohen. We got big problems, ladies and gentlemen. We got big problems. And we got to do something to fix this. I was talking to a rabbi that I respect in spades. Okay, love the man. Love the man. We were talking about something, and he goes, but Rav Moshe Feinstein, who died how many years ago? Okay? Rav Moshe Feinstein, this is what he says to me, and I'm not going to tell you who he is, I don't want you to embarrass anybody. But Rav Moshe Feinstein said those people that are qualified to talk about it, they don't exist right now. Oh, well, shit. If Rav Moshe Feinstein says it, are you joking right now? Are you kidding? We're supposed to believe in something today that might have been true 60 years ago, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I am so over Rav Moshe Feinstein. Thank you for the Hershey bar. Now shut up or do something else. It is so nauseating to hear what these lit fox Heimies who look down on everybody, who stand by egregious criminals who do egregious things. It's no, we, the collective we, the modern Jews who've taken your abuse, we now look down on you. You are now guilty until proven innocent. You think you're a Kohen? You need to have something etched in stone for me to not laugh at you. Your granddad's word shouldn't be enough for you to live like a celibate pilgrim. It's gotten old. Ain't none of you bitches serving in the temple. Let's get real. You've got these old Kohanim, and they're not even Kohanim, walking around looking ridiculous, thinking they're going to serve in the temple. No, they're not. It's time, in my opinion, to put to rest some of the thoughts that have been held a little too dear. My observation over here is that there's been so many fences built around this Torah that the greater majority, the ones who are not involved in Jewish occultism, the greater majority can't even tolerate it. Well, of course they can't, because these are rabbinical written. You know, it's like in that song with Diddy and Biggie. You know, you just mad because I tell it how it is and you tell it how it might be. These people are telling you how it might be. You understand? And you're talking like they're telling it how it is. This is an issue that it's a crusade of mine. I think we've handled Amalek wrong. We've handled Apikorsum wrong. We've handled erev wrong. Agreeing with one another that these people are evil and they're wicked and we don't like them. Agreeing among ourselves isn't enough. We got to invoke change. I am going to smoke a CBD spliff and watch Aliens. You guys have a wonderful evening. We are going to continue on with my crusade to get all the effing snakes out of the pool. You guys have a great night.